season 2. But with Jeremiah, I was a bit disappointed in how he was portrayed. Like real life people, brothers, you're like, this can get really messy really quickly. I'm just mad it wasn't for my ship. It was for the ship that wasn't mine. But those, maybe I'm being too picky. I did enjoy the show, guys. Please, I was done.
And it goes a little something like,
hi guys, welcome to my real lifestyle academia channel. My name is Agapé. Like the love, if you're new here, then hi, welcome. This is a safe space unless I want to say unless you're someone, but I can't because that's gonna give away whether I am Team Conrad or Team Jeremiah, and you're gonna have to wait to find out. No, but this is a safe space, guys. Today's video, as you guys can tell by the title, I'm going to be talking about The Summer I Turned Pretty. I binged it in a couple of hours so that I could make this video because people were starting to message me asking me when my review is coming out, and I'm like, whoa guys, I just finished exams. You're just gonna have to wait for a bit. But I finally binged it. When I tell you, I went through a series of emotions. No guys, so yeah, this is what this video is going to be about. We're going to be talking about it. I've read the books when I was younger. I reread them as often as I can just to feel something. Yeah, but so my opinion, I'm going to try and make it like take the series for what it's worth, but I'm also going to talk about differences from the books to the series, and as somebody who's read the books and trying to give an informed opinion. So let's go. I repeat, Jenny Han will always be famous. Like if Jenny Han had one fan, I would be the fan. If she had no fans, then I wouldn't be on the random. I want to talk about the main three. I want to talk about the soundtrack, side characters, changes that they made from book to movie, obviously, from book to series adaptation, and then season 2. So it is quite structured. It's quite structured, yeah. I'm just jotting down what I want to do. Okay, so the first main thing, the reason why you're here is you want to know about Billy, Conrad, Jeremiah. I'm obviously, as someone who's read the books, I'm trying to not be as biased because I have my biases from reading and who I'm team. But I think if you want to, a lot of people haven't read the books, right? So they're going to be going based off of the show that they've seen. And if we go based off of the show that we've seen so far, I feel like the inclined answer, I don't know what pains to say, but the inclined answer that people would want to give is go for Team Conrad. And I think it's because people are a sucker for, what do you call it? People are a sucker for like the underdog and the older brother and the one that you've pined for and the one that you've longed for and that type of like relationship. And so from the beginning of the show, it's almost obvious. Like we start off with Lover by Taylor Swift when we're introduced to when Conrad sees Billy and says, oh, I liked you better with braces. I'm pretty sure Lover is the song that's playing by Taylor Swift. And no, it isn't Lover, it's Cruel Summer. Cruel Summer is playing. And in my, I have a few things to say, but that song is playing, and throughout the song, like throughout the show, we have these Taylor Swift motifs almost of all the Billy and Conrad moments that we have. We have a Taylor Swift song playing throughout. Even if I didn't or did like Conrad, because they decided to do that, we don't have much of a choice but to like I feel like they're egging it on. So it's like, it's Conrad, it's Conrad, it's Conrad, it's Conrad. Like, you can't play The Way I Loved You, you can't play This Love, you can't play Lover and expect me to go a different route, which is a bit annoying because it's like, guys, I wasn't Team Conrad growing up. So for my heart's sake, I was like, okay, God, if we just take the show for what it's worth, whilst watching the show, had I not had any prior knowledge, it's gonna be Conrad because of how it's portrayed and how it's portrayed in the show. I think with Jeremiah's character, which I was a bit annoyed by, is that I feel like Jeremiah lacks depth. We know from reading the books, we know that like a lot of the things he's jealous because obviously Conrad has like a better relationship with the dad because he's playing football, playing soccer, and then his relationship with Billy is one that like he holds dear to himself. But I feel like and also Jeremiah is goofy in the books, I can say that, but I feel like in the show there was not a lot of depth to his character. Like he was the playboy guy, he was the fun Jer bear, but then towards the end I feel like we didn't get enough of a growth between Jeremiah and Billy's relationship for it to be fully believable that he liked her. People said, like, you know that scene where it was like that knocking scene, and people were like, yes, but I'm like, no, I needed it to be built slowly. Like I wished we didn't get the Jeremiah Billy kiss thing, whatever happened, and she picks him. Like I wish we didn't get that until season 2. Like I wish she just told him, or he just confronted her with these feelings, because I feel like it needed to be prolonged, and I was a bit annoyed that that wasn't the case. I promise this isn't a bad review, but I'm just like, for the sake of storyline, I was watching it and I'm like, I think a lot of times where people do where people get the whole love triangle thing wrong, or is that if we have an obvious ship, right? So for example, if we think of Twilight, right? If we have an obvious ship, it's always going to be Edward, right? However, what worked well was when there was, I think it was New Moon or Eclipse, I can't remember. I'm not a diehard Twilight fan, but there was one of the movies where Edward went away and then Bella had that time to bond with Jacob, and proper, like, the audience is proper sold onto, like, we know, okay, Edward, but you really get to fall in love with Jacob as a character. And then it's even better because you want to build up a certain character to the point where you're like, whoa, maybe I am Team Jacob. And that's why I think Twilight and the Vampire Diaries as well are the best at doing the which person are you gonna pick, because they've built up the other brother or the other person to a point where people are conflicted, to the point where people are like, oh, maybe she should pick this one, maybe she should pick that one, maybe she should, like, this. The only way it can be a team this or team that is if we build up the second character. And I feel like Jeremiah's character lacked depth in the show, which I wish they would have brought that from the books. Just in terms of like the reasoning behind his motivations and why he did what he did. We don't get a lot of that in the books, in the movie, in the show, sorry, which I wish we could have gotten. But I think personally for me, growing up and reading the books, I was always team Jeremiah up until the 3rd book, and I generally think that like third book Jeremiah came out of nowhere. And till this day I struggle to reckon with what had happened in the 3rd book. But that being said, I think personally I've noticed this throughout, like whenever I watch stuff, I don't like the broody, troubled, very like passive aggressive character. So I didn't like Damon. I was always team Stefan. I didn't like Conrad growing up reading the books. So the broodier, moodier character I wasn't a fan of. I think it's just a personal, so that's why I think growing up I've always been team Jeremiah. But I think with the show, we get to see a lot more of Conrad than we do of Jeremiah, so he gives us like a sweet spot to him. So I understand now why people are team Conrad, because after watching the series I'm like, damn, with all those Taylor Swift moments and the glance that they have at each other and the angstiness that's in there, but it isn't too much, like I understand why people would be team Conrad. So I can't even be mad, because I'm like, well damn, I would be team Conrad too. Like, I can't even be mad. I really can't be. I can't be. And I think Belly, for who she is, I think towards the thing that I was confused by is the ending. So she kisses Conrad, but she's still with Jeremiah. She hasn't fully broken it up with him. So I think that's where things get a bit iffy. But she wasn't, I don't know if you think she was exclusive with Jeremiah, but still, I think she wasn't exclusive with Jeremiah, but still it's a bit iffy, because if you've read the books, and if you haven't read the books, close your ears for like 2 seconds, because the whole did they cheat, didn't they cheat element of the third book was such a big thing. Having them we're having the kisses between the two brothers without disclosing which one you fully picked. I'm so surprised that they went for that angle, like that Billy didn't have a discussion with Jeremiah the night before or after the cotillion, being like, it's not you. Like, I'm surprised that didn't happen, because the cheating thing was such a big, like, integral part of like what broke Jeremiah and Billy up. So that I was confused by. But like, so yeah, me personally, I've always been team Jeremiah, except for Jeremiah of the third book. I don't know who you are, but after watching the series, I'm like, yeah, no, props to Billy and Conrad. There's just a level of like chemistry that they have, that, and it's that angsty chemistry that they have that Jeremiah and Billy don't. So I'm like, yeah, no, props to you. I forgot to say this, but back onto the whole like comparisons thing, that's why I felt like the second movie, the second To All the Boys, and I can say this because it's Jenny Han, but the second To All the Boys, the book was really good in terms of like giving us John Ambrose McLaren. Like, we proper got to see John Ambrose as a character and fall in love with him when we were angry with Peter. And you've like, till this day, I'm team John Ambrose McLaren. So I think if you're team John Ambrose, you're gonna be team Jeremiah. Like, I feel like that's just the case. And like, I'm team John Ambrose, but what annoyed me about the movie was that we didn't really get to see John Ambrose's character really go through the way that we wanted and like build the character up, because I feel like everyone was always like, oh, it's always Peter. But it can still always be Peter, but even make you fall in love with Peter even more when you see John Ambrose and you fall in love with him, and then you're like, no, but I still want Laura Jean with Peter. I feel like that makes the coupling so much stronger, is when you really build up the second option, because then it's like, whoa, if the people really pick number one, like if people really pick Peter, it's gonna be because, dang, like, we really love Peter regardless of John Ambrose coming in and being like the perfect person and like the one that got away type vibe. And so yeah, that, but the thing is, it's still early days, it's still season 1, this wasn't a limited series, so there's a lot of more potential for them to build up the character. And I think obviously it happens when like, when things don't go, like when things are starting to go well, maybe Conrad goes away for football or he goes away for something and Jeremiah is there, because I don't know how they're going to do the storyline, because they do a time jump at the end of the book, so I'm interested. But anyways, and the characters look quite young, so how will they be able to do a age, who knows, but there's still a lot of time in terms of building the characters up. But with Jeremiah, I was a bit disappointed in how he was portrayed, because I feel like we could have got so much more depth. But I'm gonna stop going on about that point, because it's, what I want to talk about is the soundtrack. I have it's not even a love and hate relationship. I don't know if I'm super picky. Actually, before the soundtrack, guys, I said I was done talking about the three-way thing, but I wanted to say, do you guys think the three-way thing works in, do you think it only works in supernatural things? Because the things where like, who are you gonna pick, the best ones that work is like The Vampire Diaries and Teen Wolf, not Teen Wolf, The Vampire Diaries and Twilight, and they were both like supernatural ones. Whereas when it's with brothers, it's like real life people, brothers, you're like, this can get really messy really quickly, because now you're kissing them both. What if you have sex with both of them? Like, doesn't that get weird? Anyways, I'm done with that whole point. I wanted to talk about this soundtrack. Let's talk about the soundtrack. I don't have a love and hate relationship, because I think if I was a person who wanted to do musical soundtracks, I too would do that. I did get annoyed when like every single popular pop song was in it. However, they played You Let Me Down by Alessia Cara. So am I gonna complain? I can't. You Let Me Down by Alessia Cara, when Conrad said he forgot about the birthday gift. Oh, they had me. They lost time for an eternity. You're only mine when I'm on my feet. Please. I was done. I was like, I thought I was on a person who knew about the song. What do you mean? What do you mean? No, so that killed me. I loved the brutal bit, and then the Taylor Swift song. But even I was gonna say, like, there's ways that you can put the soundtracks in without being like a teenage girl. Put the soundtrack. I'm saying that like I'm not a teen. I'm literally 21. But like you could, like, stylistically, maybe having a cover of a song, and like, you know, there's like official covers, like Sleeping at Last do a cover, or this person do a cover. But I think in terms of like them wanting to make it young-ish, like, I understand for like the audience wise, but it's like I don't need every single popular pop song to be played. But maybe I think that's just maybe I think it's just, I think the tone is different. Like the To All The Boys soundtrack tone is very different to the Summer I Turned Pretty, because the Summer I Turned Pretty is very much like being on the cusp of not even adulthood, because that's the other one. It's like the cusp of like mature, like you've not even on the, like you've just entered womanhood, and like not even womanhood, she's 16, like adolescence, she's in adolescence now. So I understand that like tone wise the music choices are going to be different, but they played Phoebe Bridgers, so I can't be bad. I loved, what else did they play? I don't know if they played Lord, I can't remember, but the Alessia Cara one shook me. And then all the Taylor Swift, I'm just mad it wasn't for my ship, it was for the ship that wasn't mine. But those Taylor Swift songs, I was like, I wonder how much they paid in terms of royalties to get all those songs cleared, because they were playing Doja Cat, they were playing Cardi B, they were playing Taylor Swift, they were playing all these artists. I'm like, how much did y'all pay for that? That must have been a lot of money. But no, in terms of soundtrack, I've really enjoyed it. A lot of surprises, and no, I liked it. I was just so surprised. I think even though I love Taylor, I need a Taylor quota or play me a Taylor cover, just to switch it up a little bit, so I'm not expecting it, so I know the song, because these are popular songs. But maybe I'm being too picky. I did enjoy the show, guys. I enjoyed the show, like I really did. Can we talk about side characters and changes? I'm going to speak about them together, because a lot of side characters became people, like fully fledged people in this book, and with changes happening. So with Stephen, because in book 1, if you haven't read the books, in book 1 Stephen goes away, and he's away with their dad, and Billy and Conrad and Jeremiah, that's how they become closer, because Stephen is gone, and so Billy's just left with them, so they become like brothers, because they're super like protective of her and stuff like that. But I like the fact that we got to see Stephen in this book, because like he didn't have a storyline in the first book, because he just wasn't there. So we got to see that character, and then him having to reckon and grapple with this like imposter syndrome situation of having a girlfriend who was so well off than him. I think Shayla did have unrealistic expectations, like the thing about her trying to get a suit, and it's like, how you gonna pay for that? He broke, man, like he broke. But towards the end, it was something that was very genuine and pure between them, so I was here for that. And having that bond between Jeremiah and Stephen, and seeing that come to be, I thought it was really nice, because again I was not expecting that. And then also Billy's mom, her story, because I think we see Billy's mom and Laurel, like we see that their relationship was like the best one of my favorites of the whole series. But I love that we got to see Billy's mom in her own like little navigating relationships and life and whatever situation. Obviously they only come back in the summer, but I think as that was another change, I liked that. So like they were building on side characters. But where was Jeremiah? No, they were building on side characters, which I did appreciate because we didn't get to see a lot of what was taking place. We got to see a lot of moments through the books with just the three of them, the fishes and Billy. But I liked that they were able to build onto that. So even the relationship that Conrad had with the writer, or was it right? Conrad with the writer. Was that the writer or the someone's dad? No, I think it was the writer. No, it was the writer. So the one that Conrad had with the writer who he'd go fishing with, who was like his mentor type thing, that was also interesting because I didn't like, that was something that like a new thing again gave Conrad more depth, because through that we got to see that Conrad clocked on what was happening with his mom. Jeremiah was just this party kid. What other side characters? Taylor. So I was always iffy with Taylor from the jump, because Taylor in book 1 we would get a lot of like flash. We would see them in like when they were 14 or when they were 12, or like when they kept coming back, because different things would happen at different times. So we got to see Taylor a bit more, but I liked the full circleness that we had with Taylor, because at the beginning we were like, Taylor, I don't know how I feel about you, but towards the end we got to see that Taylor like had Billy's back, and she was always just trying to think of her and think of how she could like be a better friend, and just show that she loved and she missed her old friend. So I loved how they went about that whole situation, because we really did redeem Taylor in a short time. So I love that. Trying to think of what other side characters we had. Conrad's girls, I don't know if her name was Ashley. They were reasonably upset. Conrad was doing a lot, so they were reasonably upset. Who we have? Cam. Okay, Cam is cuter. Cam is so much cuter, and like if Billy doesn't want Cam, I'll have Cam. Like Cameron, no, if Billy doesn't want him, I will. Give me that. Give me that. No, genuinely, he was so cute. Again, I like the fact that they kept to the book in terms of like he was this vegan guy and he cared for the environment and all of these things, and he didn't drink and everything like that. Because as I said, it just shows that like you have to build up a character. They did to Cameron's character what I wanted them to do to Jeremiah. I really liked Cameron in the way that he talked, in his mannerisms, in the way that he cared for Billy. But it's like at the end of the day, that was never going to be a person, because she was always in love with someone else. Even when Conrad touched her hair after his date, it was like, damn, you just make me think of you, huh? So I like what they did with Cameron's character, because again, build him up. He's super nice, he's super sweet, but we're just like, damn, but you just aren't Conrad. And that's what you're supposed to do with Jeremiah, but they didn't do that. Like the last 3 episodes, they were like, Jeremiah likes, and you're like, whoa, 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 I know this, but how does the audience know this? Yeah. Changes. What other changes happened? Cotillion, that was an interesting development. But I think when it made sense, because Cotillion, it was all about like the summer I turned pretty, this idea of like embarking on this new journey of trying to discover yourself and getting into adolescence and being on that like, and like puberty and all of that stuff. So it made sense that they did Cotillion, because Cotillion's all about reintroducing people to society. So logistic wise it made sense, because we got to see more dynamics and also the dance and stuff like that. So it allowed for there to be a lot of things, like it allowed for a lot of things to happen, because who you're gonna take, who you're gonna ask, who you're gonna have a dance with, all of those things come into Cotillion. So it's such a fun way to like create more storyline just from having an event that take place in town, because then you can also see the hierarchies between women. And then so yeah, I quite like that change that they made. I'm trying to think of any other changes. So we have also so we have the ending and we have the flashbacks. We have, oh, Laurel. So this was also okay. So the thing is, in the books, Laurel, we find out, okay, so Jeremiah and Bailey, they overhear Laurel talking about going through chemo again. I mean, her cancer's coming back, and in the book Laura doesn't go through chemo. She doesn't choose to go through the trials, whereas in the movie she does. In the show she does. I keep saying movies, sorry guys. In the show she does, right? And So when they're 14, when they come back for the summer, we find out that she has it. And then there's a sense of like finalhood, finality, sense of, I don't know what the word is, but there's a sense of like this is the end, because when they come for that summer, we already know that Laurel is sick, and we see Jeremiah and we see Conrad really care for them. Oh, sorry guys. Really care for their mom in that moment, and we see a lot of vulnerable moments because we know that she's dying, right? But it was interesting how they didn't know, like, we don't know if she is, so that the kids can have that moment of being carefree. And I think it makes sense from a writer's point of view, so we can see how drastic the 2 summers are going to be. Like with the one summer of knowing that she's ill, then the second summer her might being ill, or her might be dead, and we're going to see how the environment of the house, like the summer house, how that changes when Laurel's there versus when she isn't. Yeah, so it makes sense. I was just surprised if that made sense. Season 2, the show was already renewed for a second season before the first season came out. Jenny Han, you will always be famous. I repeat, Jenny Han will always be famous. Like, if Jenny Han had 1 fan, I would be the fan. If she had no fans, then I wouldn't be on this earth. Like, I'm gonna champion Jenny Han. So yeah, season 2 is renewed. I don't know, this is the thing, I think they're gonna, I think that was nearing towards the end of summer, so we might come summer number 2. But then if they do that, it's gonna be like Bridgerton season 2, where like 30% into the book they changed the storyline. But I also kind of like that, because it gives me a sense of like surprise, and like I'm only gonna I'm gonna be watching the show and then I wouldn't have known what's happening. So that was me yawning. Don't know if it was subtle. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. Yeah, I was just saying, the beach thing with the kiss, I feel like Jeremiah is either gonna see or he's gonna know, but obviously I want him to see so that he just has clarity. If not, Billy can't be playing both of them. That's when things get really sticky, because you can't kiss one brother one day, kiss the other the next. So I know about that one, but I don't know, because in the book season 2 happens where Conrad is already at uni, and so in the book, yeah, so Conrad's at uni, he's flunking his lessons, and they need to go to his uni and like give him a reinvention. But I don't know if they do an age gap, because the characters like Lola, the girl who plays Billy, she has such a young like face. I don't know how old she is. She might be my age or a year younger than me. She has a very young face, so Lola Tongue. Let me get her age, man. I'm pretty sure she's, yeah, 2002, literally born a year, she's a year younger than me. So maybe they could, because that means she's 20, so they could like, and with makeup and whatever and wardrobe changes, stylistic changes, they could make her look older, because I mean younger, no, older, because she's 16 in this summer. She barely has turned 16 yet. She turned 16 at the house. But could they make her look 18, 19? Possibly. But again, that depends on which direction they take with the season 2 storyline, and if, as it looks big now, if it gets a season 3 to like close it up, but then they do a big age gap, because then they're 24 by season 3, so by book 3, so who knows? That's my question. Who knows what they do? No guys, overall I feel like the video sounds negative, but overall I did have a good time. Like, I did have a good time. It's always very interesting seeing things that you've known when you were younger, seeing them become these fully fledged things, because it's like, wait, that's not just like little my cute thing that like I read when I was younger. Like this is a big thing. So overall I did enjoy it. Like contrary to popular belief, like I'm gonna have to accept that things won't go my way, that I will still enjoy a series and be in it, and like you know what I mean. So I genuinely enjoyed the show so much. There's still so much we can do. I'm obsessed with the soundtrack. I love the direction that they're going in. I'm just confused and I'm a bit, I don't know, you know, I don't know, because things changed, but I'm excited. That is one thing. And so yeah guys, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope that it made sense. I hope that it was succinct and clear and whatever, but I look forward to hearing your opinions. I welcome them with open arms. I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say. Are you team Conrad? Are you team Jeremiah? Do you think I was harsh in my criticisms? If you were team Conrad, tell me why. If you're team Jeremiah, tell me why. I'm just curious. And so yeah guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next video.
And it goes a little something like